Hello, hello, hello. Who's out there? Who's on the line? Who's out there this morning or this afternoon? Anybody with us yet? What's going on, brother? How are you? You might need to unmute. Aaron, I don't see your microphone, so I don't know if you're able to unmute or not. Let's see here. I just unmuted everybody, so you might need to turn your audio on. Hello, hello, hello. What's going on, Joe? All right, can anybody hear me?
Joe? Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Joe, you can hear me okay? Okay,
perfect.
Cool. All right, so I think we've got Joe. He can hear me okay now. Aaron, I think you can talk now. I see your mic is on. Okay, cool. All right, well, let's give it just about 60 more seconds, you guys. We're just doing a little impromptu training, and I want to share some new tools with you guys I'm really excited about that I think are just dynamite. So give it just about 60 more seconds here, and we'll get started.
It must be hat day today.
Yeah, I started to go live, and I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't combed my hair today. I had to go run and grab a hat real quick.
Yeah. Me and you, and it looks like Doug have a hat on. It's hat day.
Yeah, it's hat day. I can't pull off the flat bill though, dude. I don't know how you pull it off well. It just doesn't work for me. I can
do both.
I put on a flat bill and I look like a little kid, like in school. You know? It just doesn't work for me, man. Say hi. We got a few people on.
Hey, how are you all? Who's on here?
Doug's on. We've got Joe on.
Hey,
Tabitha's on.
Hey, Tabitha.
Aaron's on.
I'm just running to do some last minute stuff for Travis's or Chandler's Africa trip. It's all due today. All the paperwork and all that stuff. Most of it's done.
All right. I'll see you in a little bit. All right, guys. Okay, so we're going to get started. I've got some really cool stuff to show you guys today, and I want to take everybody through a quick training. If you've got a pen and paper handy, it might be helpful for you to be able to take a little bit of notes. Wow. Hello. If you've got I think what I might do here is mute everybody out here, and then if you have any questions, we can unmute here in just a minute, just so we don't have any background noise. All right. So everybody is muted. And so we spent some time last night on the Diamonds. The Diamonds got together, Diamonds and Above, and we started putting together our system. And systems are so important when it comes to duplication. As you guys know, excuse me, up to this point, we've been using Hilo.life as the main exposure tool. But we've decided to make a few slight adjustments that I think are going to be much more effective. So let me go ahead and go to my share screen, and I want to show you guys a couple of different tools that are fantastic that we've put together for you. Okay, so what you're looking at here, and I've got, for some reason or another, a little bit of down here in the screen, this little square. I think I picked up some malware, so you'll just have to excuse that for a moment. But what we are looking at right here, you guys, is helodevice.com, helodevice.com. Let me see if I can get rid of this little ad that keeps popping up here. There we go. So here's what we did. So at hilo.life, when you went to that site, they had 3 different videos that were on the site. And for somebody that was, you know, when you're texting somebody or you're inboxing them and you're basically saying, hey, listen, would you be willing to take a look at this short video and give me your feedback? And then they arrive on that site and they see 3 different videos. It could potentially turn people off, might look a little bit overwhelming. But more importantly, we wanted you guys as distributors to feel safe. What we didn't want is for any of your prospects to be able to click on a video that allowed them to be able to go over to YouTube and then eventually see who posted that YouTube channel and then contact that person directly. So what we did is we created a simple tool, myhelodevice.com. And when you arrive here on this particular site, what happens is this is the 3-minute video. So when somebody watches this, it's 2 minutes and 55 seconds. As soon as someone watches this and they're done, the next video pops up afterwards. And so instead of seeing all of the videos at one time, we've got some credibility pieces as seen down here on New York Post and Forbes and CBS and Fox and some of the other things that you see down here. But it's just simple. And I want to talk for a moment about getting people to watch the video. You know, there are a number of different ways that you can get somebody to watch a video. One size does not necessarily fit all. For example, I have what I call my inner circle of friends, right? This is like my tight group of friends and family members. Aaron is one of those guys that's on here right now. Joe is one of those guys. And if I texted those guys and I said, hey, or even yo, I need you to watch this video and just tell me what you think, they would do it. Just because we have that kind of relationship, we have that kind of trust, and I know that they would take a look at it. Then I have my my hot market. My hot market are my friends, my family members, my colleagues. They trust me. They've known me for years. And those individuals, what I like to do is I like to text them and just say something like, hey, listen, would you do me a favor? I want you to watch this video and just give me your feedback. Just something short and sweet to the point. Again, all we're trying to do is we're just trying to pique their interest. Another strategy that's worked really well for me is I will go through that hot market list. I'll put together a list of 20 to 30 people, and I'll text all of them and say, hey, Aaron, I need a favor. Hit me back when you get a minute. And if I sent that to Aaron, I know him well enough to know that he would respond and say, yeah, sure, what's up? What can I do to help? And most people would, especially if it's in your hot market list. And every one of you has, I guarantee you, at least 20 names in your phone right now of individuals that you know, close friends, family members, colleagues, that would say, yeah, sure, what's up? And then you can reply with the second text message that says, I'm just looking for some feedback. You know, I'm looking to get involved in a technology company and I need some feedback on this device. Would you watch this 3-minute video? That's it. That's all you're doing. And you're sending them to helodevice.com. You know, I look at prospecting a lot like the game of baseball. You know, the key is to get somebody on first base, right? That's it. We're not necessarily looking to hit home runs. You're not trying to reach out to people and sell them and close them. We're just trying to get them to first base. And then you have your professional contacts. Your professional contacts are people that you associate with in business or you have associated with in the past. For those people, you know, you might have a little bit more of a professional approach. So I might say something like, hey, Joe, I recently got involved in a technology company. The stock is climbing through the roof. I think that there's a lot of money to be made here. Would you be willing to check out this 3-minute video and just let me know what you think? You know, again, one size doesn't necessarily fit all. What matters is that you are, you're just getting them to say yes. Hang on one second. I've got somebody asking me how they can get on this training right now. So let me just tell them to go to the group, go to the team page, info there. Okay, so that's step one. Get them on first base. And again, you've got your super hot list, your insiders list, if you will. Those are your friends, your close buddies. The other thing I want to add here is don't prejudge people, because the people that you think are going to do this business never will. The people that you think won't do this business end up doing it. Some of the people you think are going to be amazing aren't, and some of the people that you think would never do this at all end up being fantastic. It's the name of our game. So don't prejudge anybody. What you want to do is you want to start with a list. And it's critical, and some of you haven't done this yet, but it's critical within the first 24, 48 hours that you get somebody into action. You get them to put their list together and you get them exposing. That's the first thing that you want to do. You want to sit them down. You want to have them put together a names list of at least 20 people. Start with your insiders and then your hot market. And all you're doing is you're teaching them the approaches. Give them a couple of different strategies. Again, hey, look, brother, need you to check this out and just give me your feedback. Or, hey, listen, need a favor, hit me back when you get a minute. They come back and say, what's up? You say, look, would you be willing to watch this video for me and just give me your honest feedback? This is something I'm taking a closer look at. Again, one size doesn't fit all. The key is not to go throw up on them and try to sell them or convince them or close them on the upfront approach. So now we've got them to first base. That's myhelodevice.com is the new resource that we're going to be using. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to now move them over to myhelodevice.com/overview. This site, what we did is we took the best conference call that has ever been done to date. It was a launch call. It was 23 minutes long, so it was short. It was to the point. And I have to tell you guys, it was absolute fire. Ramasio did this call. Some of you probably remember it. And it was outstanding. Cayman wants to say hi. Say hi to everybody.
Hi.
Okay, sit down for a second. Play your game, Bubba. So it was outstanding. And here's the cool thing. So let me tell you how I would move them from first base to second base. So let's say that I'm talking to Carmen, and Carmen, Carmen says, yeah, I'll definitely check out the video. So here's what's going to happen. You're not going to get a bunch of people that respond that say, oh my gosh, I'm ready to sign up, when you just get them to first base. Every now and then you'll hit a home run, but the reality is most people that go to first base, here's what that sounds like. They're going to come back to you and they're going to go, wow, this is interesting. Or man, this is really cool. I think Aaron, you responded and you said, man, this thing's awesome. I showed it to a couple of my buddies and I think they're interested already as well. Joe, I know you looked at it and you were fired up about it the moment you saw it. So it's different for everybody, but it's going to come back sounding like, man, this is interesting, or what is this, or tell me more, or this is pretty cool. What I like to do personally, I don't want to just then send them to, and you could do this. You could immediately say, hey, dude, you've got to check this out. If you want to drink that, just go ahead and drink that. If you want, you've got to hear what's happening right now. I want you to listen to this call at myhelodevice.com/overview, and then lets you and I connect. So you can use that as kind of a filtering method to see who's really interested or not, or who's willing to take that next step. Now, what I personally do, I like to get them on the phone after I get them on first base. So what I do is after Aaron responds and says, yeah, man, this is awesome, I'll say, hey, do you have 5 minutes? I want to chat with you real quick. Or I want to tell you what's going on, or I want to, let's connect real quickly. And I like to get on the phone with them, and I like to share my excitement. I want them to hear my excitement, because we are in the business of contagious enthusiasm. If I'm excited, I can transfer that emotion to somebody else very easily. My job isn't to try and explain the company, the owners, the comp plan, any of that stuff. I just simply want to say, listen, Joe, you know what? Somebody introduced this to me, and the first thing that I first thing that I thought when I saw this is, man, this is going to be popular. Everybody is going to want one of these. And I have to tell you, I know some friends of mine, or some friends are launching this in North America, and they had a call last night. It was a private invitation only call where they went over the details of that launch. And you got to hear the information on this call. If I send this information over to you, would you be willing to listen to it and let me know what you think? And so I like to kind of get them a little bit of excited, so I know that they're actually going to follow through. And there's an actual proven statistic. There was a study that was done over in England, you guys. They went to an initial group of homes, knocked on the door, and they said, hey, listen, we're trying to do good. Would it be okay if we put this big, ugly sign in your yard that says, slow down, children are playing, because we're trying to get the cars to slow down? And literally, nobody would let them put the sign in the yard because it was a big, ugly sign. So then they went to a second group of homes with a smaller, non-obtrusive sign, same thing. Hey, we're trying to do good. Would it be okay if we put this small sign in your yard that says children are playing? Would that be okay? This time they had almost 60% of the people that said yes. But here's the fascinating statistic. They went back to those 60% and a month later, and they said, look, the sign's too small. Would it be okay if we put this bigger sign in your garden, which is your yard in England? And this time, literally almost 80% of the people who said yes to the smaller sign agreed to that bigger sign. Why? People are more willing to agree to do something small before they agree to do something much bigger. It is just the way things work. And I'm going to give you proof right here. So let's say that I called you up and you, we all have a relationship with each other. And I said, look, my daughter Sienna is wanting to sell Girl Scout cookies. She wants to be the #1 salesman in the state. We're reaching out to all of our professional colleagues, and I'm just asking for help. Would you be willing to buy a couple of boxes of cookies? By shake of head, would you say yes? Every one of you that's on this presentation, would you say yes? Absolutely you would. Why? Because you want to help. Because you want to help. You want to help me reach a goal. So listen, it's the same concept here. In the beginning, when you first start out and you ask somebody to watch the presentation, you're asking for help. Listen, I need some help. I need some feedback, right? But then you get on the phone with them and they hear your excitement, and you say, listen, there's something that's going down right now. My friends are launching this thing, and you have got to hear. There was a private launch call last night. This call was amazing. You've got to hear what's going on. If if I send it over to you, will you watch it? And by the way, I don't just send it unless they say yes. There's a thing called posturing, and it's all about not giving something up until you get somebody to give you a yes at something in return. It creates more value. So again, it's about creating value, right? Dollars follow value. So if I said, hey, Joe, listen, if I send this presentation over, would you be willing to watch it? It implies I'm not going to send it if he says no. So he immediately says, well, yeah, I'd watch it. I say, great. When do you think you can watch it? He says, well, I could watch it this afternoon. What I've done is I've let Joe know just through my language that this is important information. Just by doing that, there's a dramatic increase in statistically that he's actually going to follow through because he knows there's urgency. So again, all I'm doing is I'm saying, hey, listen, if I sent this over, would you take a look at it? If I, would you? He says, yes. I say, great. When do you think you can watch it? He says, tonight. And then here's the key. I say, cool. So if I call you at 8 o'clock tonight, you'll have already watched it? He says, yes. I say, great. Let's go ahead and move forward. So at that point, send him to myhelodevice.com/overview. That's exposure number 2. They're now on second base. Now, here's the cool thing. From there, you guys, you've got a couple of different options. So let's say at that point that they have some questions. Let me see here. I think I might have somebody that's got a question here. Yes, that's right, Diane. If I, would you? That's the key. So now here's the deal. So now they've watched the initial exposure on myhelodevice.com. You've now invited them to myhelodevice.com/overview as a second exposure. So where do we go from there? Well, now it's up to them. So now you do your follow-up because Fortune's in the follow-up, right? When you sent that, you should have a time scheduled with them because if you said, hey, if I send this, would you be willing to watch it? They say yes. And you say, when do you think you can watch it? They say tonight. Cool. If I call you in the morning, will you have had a chance to watch it? They say yes. I say, great. What time? 9 o'clock. Perfect. And I write that down. So now when I follow up, I'll just say, hey, listen, man, what do you think about this? And they're going to let you know right then and there if they're interested. And you know what? Another line that I like to use a lot, if you want to use this to get them to second base, is I'll say something like, hey, listen, Aaron, for every 10 people that I show this to, 7 say yes, 3 say no. It doesn't matter to me which side of the fence that you fall on, but what does matter is that you at least take a look at this. That's a very powerful way to get them from first base to second base and get them to the overview. So again, once I've followed up now, and here's what they're going to do. They're going to tell me what they need. Now, at this point, I can tell you that I would estimate 60 to 70% of the people are ready to go. They have watched exposure 1. They have watched the 2-minute video, the 7-minute video. All of a sudden, now they've heard the presentation and they're fired up. They're going to let you know where they're at. Now, some cases, they might have some additional questions about the product. So if they have some additional, like they might say, well, how does it work? Is it accurate? All of those things, right? So here's what you're going to do. You've got helodevice.com/Helo details. This is the details. This is exactly how it works. I hope you guys are seeing what we're doing. We're taking this out of your hands so you do not have to explain anything. We have created a duplication system that is turnkey for you. You should never have to explain anything. You're just pointing. All you're doing is pointing people in the right direction, and that is it, and everything else is taken care of for you. So, man, I got malware on my computer. That's such a bummer. I got these little pop-ups that are starting to pop up. Downloaded something off YouTube yesterday, and it gave me some funky stuff here. Okay, so now, if you have somebody who wants more information specifically about the device, then you would send them here. But if they're not interested in that per se, let's say that they want to know, does it really work? Well, here's a site for you that we've created, myhelodevice.com/testimonials. And guys, I want you all to watch these testimonials. They will blow your mind. Like, they will literally blow your mind. If you don't have belief system in the product yet, just take 8 minutes and watch these videos. Share these with people, because now what you're doing is you're sharing with others, other people's testimonials, other people's stories, and that creates credibility. At this point, I want you to think about the game of baseball. You've moved them from first base to second base to third base, right, which is either the testimonials or the details video, and now they're ready to come home and score. Network marketing is it's not about selling. It's not about closing. There's so many people that don't understand network marketing that stay away from it because they think that they're not good salespeople. And sometimes good salespeople struggle in this industry because they try to oversell, or sometimes we don't approach people because we're afraid, ooh, I don't want to try and have to sell my friend or my family member. If you do it this way, all you're doing, your goal is to get your prospect in front of as many exposures as you can and as short as period of time as possible. You know, you can't do first base on Monday and then second base 8 days later. It won't work because they're going to lose interest. The key is you've got to create momentum, move them around the bases as quickly as possible. You create sense of urgency as you're moving them along. You know, once they watch that first video, you're saying, listen, you have got to listen to what happened last night. You've got to hear what's happening right now. And then once they get to that second video, now you're using your, hey, listen, I have a couple of top positions in my organization. They're like oceanfront property. When they're gone, they're gone. I'm going to be talking to about 10 more people in the next 24 hours. And here's the thing. You can either have those people below you or you can have those people above you. Do you want to have one of my top positions in my organization? So again, very simple. I wanted to use the analogy of just playing baseball, moving them around the bases, exposures, but more importantly, I wanted you guys to see these awesome resources that we've put together for you. The other thing I want to just reach out and let you hear or let you know that we're starting tomorrow is we have put together a system. You guys have been asking for it. Calls every single, here's what the call system sounds like so that you guys know exactly where there's a live call that's going on every Sunday night. And for those of you that don't work on Sunday, no big deal. But for those of you that want to have, you know, a head start to the week, we have a 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern conference call. So 8 o'clock Eastern conference call. And then we have a 7 o'clock, 10 p.m. Eastern webinar every Sunday night. So one's a conference call, one's a webinar. Mondays are off. Why? Because Monday night is what closes out the commissionable period. And hopefully you're working the phones, following up with people and trying to hit that next rank on Monday night. Tuesdays, 7 o'clock Pacific, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, we have a fast start training and recognition call that's starting. So everybody that comes into your team through the week, you can plug them in here and we'll teach them how to get started for you. On Wednesdays, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 Eastern Time, we have a conference call again. And then we have a 7 p.m., 10 p.m. Eastern webinar. Thursdays are open, so if you wanted to do something with your own team, your own trainings, that's totally cool. Friday, we're going to start next Friday, a Freedom Friday lunch call. And I love the concept because Friday nights aren't good for calls. So we're doing a 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 Eastern Freedom Friday lunch call. And then we're going to do another one at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard. That way we can hit that lunch hour both on the East Coast and on the West Coast. And then on, where was I at? Saturday, this is killer. On Saturdays, we're going to kick this off tomorrow, 8:30 in the morning Pacific, 11:30 Eastern. We're doing a training call. It's going to be a little bit more in-depth training call. So you might get some, like a training like we've done today. It's going to include some personal development, system training, strategy training, those type of things. And then on Saturday afternoon, 12:30 Pacific, 3:30 Eastern Standard Time, there is going to be a live webinar that you can plug your prospects into as well. And so again, to recap, the new tools, myhelodevice.com is the first exposure. We have myhelodevice.com/overview is the second base or second exposure. We have myhelodevice.com/Helo details to explain how the product works. And then we have myhelodevice.com/testimonials to be able to bring it home, baby. So that is it. That's what I've got for you. I'm going to open it up and see who is on the line and who has some questions. So what do you guys think?
Awesome.
You like it, Joseph? Pretty rocking, isn't it?
That's a great system. These calls, are you going to post the number?
Absolutely.
Will they all have the same number?
Yes. So that's what we're working on getting the actual link. We just expanded, as you guys know, we capped out the Zoom call pretty quickly last night. So we've just expanded the room to up to 300 capability. If we need to go higher than that, we will. And then we have a conference call line that we will be using. So I think right now we're just getting that information collaborated together on one sheet. We are also working, would you stop? We're also working on Fast Start document. Carmen, I know you're loving this right now. I know Carmen's excited about all this. Fast Start document will one-page Fast Start document that you'll be able to give to every newbie. It'll be in the group, and you'll be able to access that information. Cool.
I do have one quick question.
Okay.
The second video, it's it's not really the video, the overview.
Mm-hmm.
Is that just audio?
It is. It's just an audio file. It was a conference call that was done a couple of weeks ago, and it was by far the best conference call that they've done yet. It was absolutely fire. The guy that did the call that night was just in the zone. I mean, he nailed the sense of urgency. He told the story. I mean, it was flawless. And so we chose to put that on here also because no matter what device, you can just click that play button and listen to it. And then, of course, you'll still have, in addition to these 4 exposures, you'll still be able to put them into one of our live webinars if they want to actually see the live presentation.
Okay, yeah, because that's the only thing is for people.
I'm losing you a little bit. I think we may have lost you. One other thing that I would add to that is there's always going to be recordings or links that you can use of the previous live presentation. I know that there's some people that like to be visual people. You'll be able to share the previous day webinar or save your favorite webinar link and be able to use that as an additional resource for those that might be watching actual presentation.
Okay, perfect.
You bet. Anybody else? Guys, I'm fired up about this. If you were on my presentation last night, you heard me share this with you. When I came into this, I'll be straight with you guys. I came into this to build this on the side. I would tell you that was kind of like I was in the shallow water of the pool and I was playing around with this thing. I saw an opportunity, but I was, focused on some other businesses. And what's happened is, in a very short period of time, I've watched what's happening here. Summer and I put in about 15 people into the business 2 weeks ago. That team has grown to 180 people because of more efforts. I'm watching the people that are working and truly putting people in process. Their businesses are growing. And when Summer and I saw our first commission check, I have to tell you that Summer and I had to sit down and have a conversation, and we actually made the decision. That this warrants a lot more of our time and our focus. And so we've shifted some things around, and this is now going to be a full-time effort for us because I truly believe that the opportunity that we have with this thing, I mean, there's just some crazy things that are happening. And I know that not everybody gets turned on by the bigger check stories. And so, to me, it's just as important to help somebody make a $500 check or $1,000 check. And I think that we can do that here. But I want you guys to know there are people in this company, and my sponsor, Mike Sims, 5th week in the business, hit $80,000 in commissions last week. And yes, he's been in the industry before. Yes, he does have credibility. No, not everyone is going to make that kind of money. That's not an income claim. But I want you to know, I personally believe that the people that go to work here over the next year have the ability to be able to completely transform their life. And my wife and I have made the adjustments to provide the tools and resources that you guys need to be successful. So we're 100% in, and we're committed. That's all I've got. Anybody have any final thoughts or any other questions before we wrap up? Okay, please, if you would, get this. I'll post this as soon as it's available in the group. And if we can get this out to the team, encourage everybody in your group to watch it. I would appreciate it.
Thank you, Travis.
Thanks, guys.
I guess that was a no.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye now.
I guess that was a no that nobody had questions.
No.